هنا راح يصير يعني شو المادة راح تترسب عليها، راح تثخن، راح تترسب عليها كبر أكثر. خلينا نكمل الفيديو.
Gaining these 2 electrons is going to get rid of that 2 plus charge that was on the copper. And that is going to turn it into a neutral atom, which means that it is no longer going to be able to dissolve in solution, and it's going to become part of the solid copper metal here. Okay? So that's what happens to the copper. Now notice that for this whole process to happen, electrons have to move through this wire, and that's where the electricity, the electron movement, comes from. Let's see that one more time. So zinc loses 2 of its electrons here. Those move through the wire. Loss of those 2 electrons causes zinc to take on a 2 plus charge. It is then going to dissolve in the solution. These 2 electrons are going to move over here to copper, and one of these Cu2 plus ions that really wants electrons is going to come, it's going to take them in, and that is going to get rid of the Cu2 plus. It's going to get rid of the 2 plus charge, and this neutral copper atom is now going to become part of this.
هسه ايش قال نعيد العملية مرة ثانية، واخذنا الكترونات من الكبر حطيناها من الزنك وحطيناها للكبر. هنا صارت عملية تعادل، وهنا صارت عملية تعادل في نصف جهود الخلايا. كل وحدة من هذين تسمى نصف جهد خلية. فهنا تزيد تشوفون الايونات الموجبة، وهنا تقل الايونات الموجبة. زين نرجع
this solid piece of copper metal. So that is where this electron movement through the wire is coming from. Zinc loses these 2 electrons. They move through the wire, creating electricity. They come over here and they join up with the Cu2 plus, turning it into neutral copper. We have these electrons moving through the wire here, creating electricity. So that is how we get electricity, from these electrons moving from the zinc over here into the copper. And if this happens long enough, we actually see these 2 pieces of metal change, right? Like these zinc atoms keep coming off of this piece of zinc, so it's essentially dissolving. And over time, what we'll see is that this piece of zinc actually starts to dissolve. It gets smaller and smaller. But then on the other hand, those Cu2 plus ions are coming out of solution and are attaching to the solid copper. And so they're going to make this piece of solid copper bigger and bigger. And so if we
طلاب هسه هذا الحكي كلش قال الايونات اللي هنا تحولت الى معدن، والمعدن اللي هنا تحول الى ايون. فهنا الماده الزنك صار بيها تآكل، شوفوا صارت انحف، وهنا صارت اثخن ماده الكبر لانه ترسبت عليها معدن اكثر من الكبر. وجني هذا الصوت. المهم فهيك صارت عملية التآكل. هذا الكونسبت الرئيسي، شلون تنتقل الإلكترونات وشلون تتآكل المادة. هذا المهم اللي عندي. كان الكلام الموجود غير وافي بالنسبة خلينا نقول هاي السطرين 3. فكل الملاحظات اللي هنا فهمتكم ايش دا يصير بالضبط. زين خلينا نكمل.
We let this voltaic cell run for long enough, we'll eventually see that these 2 pieces of metal actually change size and shape. Here are some diagrams for the process that's happening in the voltaic cell. I want to describe what's going on in terms of oxidation and reduction. So over here, one of these neutral zinc atoms is losing electrons. So that